first base.
That's what Grandpa used to play.
When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Captions service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you. Call 1-800-979-02.
Wednesdays. All hail the Masked Singer.
Truly in the presence of greatness. Queen of Hearts.
Browns
Down he goes.
are ready to bring the show to the dog pound. But Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos
What a throw. Touchdown.
are looking to steal the spotlight.
Still on his feet. He's got it.
Broncos, Browns, Thursday Night Football on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video.
Go with Simparica Trio. It's triple protection made simple. Simparica Trio is the first and only monthly chewable that covers heartworm disease, ticks and fleas, round and hookworms. Dogs get triple protection in just one Simparica Trio. This drug class has been associated with neurologic adverse reactions, including seizures. Use with caution in dogs with a history of these disorders. Protect him with all your heart. Simparica Trio.
Everybody talk about the All-American. If the beat don't fly, hold your breath and count to
Oh, it looks like we're in a screensaver.
We need to go higher.
Higher.
Definitely higher.
We're like yodeling high.
Yodeling?
No. Don't do that.
We should go even higher. Oh. I'm good.
Me too.
Adventure has a new look.
Let's go lower. Lower. That's not.
Discover more in the all-new Subaru Outback Wilderness. Love. It's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Sinaloa is a province in northwest Mexico. It's directly across from the bottom of Baja California. It's not that far from the United States, and that's a bad thing because Sinaloa, Mexico may now be the single largest producer and distributor of the synthetic opioid fentanyl. Cartels are making fentanyl in mass quantities in Sinaloa now, but they're not making it for domestic consumption within Mexico. They're making it to export here, and you can see why. In the capital of Sinaloa, 11 pounds of fentanyl typically sells for around $15,000. In the United States, that same amount of fentanyl sells for more than $100,000. So you can see the incentive. How much fentanyl is that? Well, just 2 milligrams of the drug can be lethal to a human being. That means 11 pounds contains nearly 2.5 million fatal doses of fentanyl. Again, there's a major financial incentive for the drug cartels, which run huge parts of Mexico, to produce this drug and ship it north. And they are. If cocaine was the drug of the 1980s, we are now living in the fentanyl era, and the numbers show it. Not so long ago, between October 2012 and October 2013, Customs and Border Protection seized just 2 pounds of fentanyl total at our southern border. Compare that to what we're seeing now. In the first 8 months of this year, first 8 months, the U.S. government seized more than 7,200 pounds of fentanyl. It's the highest amount seized by far. And keep in mind, that's likely just a small percentage of the fentanyl that came over the border, since it is odorless and difficult to detect. According to a recent report by the U.S. Sentencing Commission, quote, since fiscal year 2015, the number of fentanyl offenders reported to the commission more than doubled each fiscal year, resulting in a 3,592% increase. Meanwhile, federal authorities recently announced that they have seized nearly 10 million counterfeit pills, and many of them were laced with fentanyl. That was all in a single year. News reports from Chicago say, as they do in so many cities, fentanyl has become an epidemic.
The pill on the left is Xanax. The one on the right is counterfeit. Not knowing the difference can be deadly. The Drug Enforcement Administration warns of a dramatic increase in fake prescription pills flooding the market from criminal drug networks in Mexico. The drugs made to look like Oxy or Adderall are laced with fentanyl or meth, often in deadly doses. The DEA has seized more than 9.5 million counterfeit pills so far this year, and the head of the Chicago division says they've seized more than 600 pounds of fentanyl.
So why are we telling you all this about fentanyl? Because the rise in the consumption of fentanyl mirrors the rise in the availability of fentanyl, which is causing the massive rise in deaths by fentanyl OD. And all of that is a result of the Biden administration's immigration policy. When you open the borders, it's not just people who comes in, it's massive amounts of fentanyl and other illegal drugs. So the Biden administration tells you that their border policy is, quote, humane, but it's just the opposite. That policy has resulted in this country becoming flooded with fentanyl, and it's resulted in the deaths of many thousands of Americans. The latest data from the CDC shows that drug overdose deaths in the United States hit a new high, almost 100,000 deaths of American citizens during the 12-month period that ended in March of this year. How much more is that from last year? Well, it's a 30% increase in 1 year. So there are a lot of reasons this is happening, but one of the main reasons is government policy, which has made the population sedentary and depressed. Our government spent the last year, in case you haven't noticed, locking everyone inside their homes. And the result of that is that drugs are everywhere and major American cities are now unrecognizable. Take a look at this report from San Francisco's local news station. Watch.
The rate of accidental drug overdoses, hospitalizations, and deaths is outpacing the city's expanding teams of crisis intervention specialists. Fentanyl, a powerful and highly addictive synthetic opioid, much cheaper than heroin, entered the San Francisco drug market a few years ago.
Fentanyl has been the large driver for these increases in accidental overdose deaths.
The powerful narcotic was responsible for more than 500 deaths last year and has become the drug of choice for many users in San Francisco. KTVU has been documenting the epidemic for months. Many experts believe that social isolation from the coronavirus may be contributing to the death toll.
So what we refer to habitually as our homeless crisis, which is bigger than it's ever been in American history, is not primarily about homes. It's not even primarily about mental illness, strictly speaking. It's mostly about drugs and drug addiction. None of this should really surprise us. Our leaders have spent the last year dividing Americans from each other. The result is loneliness. They close the churches. They close the gyms. They force people to stay apart from their family, friends, and the people they're closest to. And at the very same moment, the Biden administration has opened the borders, allowing a massive wave of this highly addictive, deadly synthetic opioid to enter this country. So what do you think happened? Well, an awful lot of people died. And this was a result of bad policy. But the Biden administration isn't simply ignoring the problem. They're not apologizing for it, of course. They're doing something even more destructive. They're making it worse. They're making it less possible for the U.S. government to control what comes across our border. You remember they blamed the Border Patrol for daring to patrol the border on horseback. Now they've nominated a genuine radical, an extremist called Chris Magnus, to lead Customs and Border Protection. How extreme is Chris Magnus? Well, during his confirmation hearings in the Congress yesterday, Magnus was asked repeatedly whether what is happening at the border is a crisis, and repeatedly he refused to say that it was. Tens of thousands of Americans are dying because of this border policy. And yet, here's the man who the Biden administration would like to run the border responded. Watch.
You believe we have a crisis at the southern border, yes or no?
Senator, I'm not sure, does it really matter whether we call it a major challenge, a crisis, a big problem?
Do we have a crisis at the border? Yes or no?
Senator, let me assure you that no one believes there is greater urgency to this matter than I do.
Are you saying there's not a crisis at the border?
Senator, I don't think I don't speak to urgent as less serious at all. In fact,
is there a crisis or is there not a crisis at the border?
Senator, I would say that my highest priority is going to...
I didn't ask your priority. I asked to characterize the situation on the border. Is there a crisis at the border?
What I'm certainly trying to convey is how serious I take what's happening at the border and the amount of work that I want to put into addressing it.
So here's a guy who's totally beholden to the radical nonprofits, the NGOs, many funded by George Soros, that control our immigration policy. He's so beholden to them that he can't tell an obvious truth under oath for fear of offending them. They're his real constituency, not you or anyone else who lives in this country. It's the radical NGOs that would like to open the border, knowing full well that doing so will result in the deaths of many thousands of Americans from the drugs that are also coming across the border. But our leadership class is so decadent that they don't even acknowledge that drug use is a problem or a crisis, as Chris Magnus refused to say. They think it's fine. So Chris Magnus says he's going to take the border very seriously, which means, as you well know, that he is going to do his level best to allow as many foreign nationals to come here as possible, and many will be bringing drugs. So this is more than just irresponsible. It's more than just ideological. It is reckless, it is dangerous, it is criminal. The role of the federal government is not to protect economic migrants from Haiti. It is not to improve the living standards in other countries. It is not to pack the electorate on behalf of a specific political party. It has only one role, and one role alone. It is to protect American citizens. It is to serve their interests. But they're not doing that. They're doing exactly the opposite. John Daniel Davidson is an editor at The Federalist. He's followed and written about the fentanyl epidemic in this country for many years. He's one of the few in the media who's taken it seriously. We're happy to have him join us tonight. John, thanks so much for coming on. So I have a bunch of questions, but here are the obvious ones. The scale of this, we'll call it a crisis, is really without precedent in American history. Am I overstating that?
I don't think so. You know, the statistics that you cited earlier, I think, tell the tale. We have had more fentanyl seized at the southwest border so far this fiscal year, which isn't over yet, but so far this fiscal year than 2020, 2019, and 2018 combined, and not by a little bit, by a lot. And as you say, it's gotten much worse over the recent years, and the border communities are even worse. You know, the outgoing head of the DEA in El Paso just recently gave an interview in local news. He says that El Paso is awash in fentanyl in the schools, on social media, on the streets. They've had a 6-fold increase in fentanyl deaths there. And he said this, too. He said that 2 out of every 5 fentanyl pills that are seized on the street in El Paso have a lethal dose of fentanyl in them. So this is a very serious and, as you say, deadly problem that is getting worse by the week.
So the U.S. government has a long history of overstating, I would argue, the negative effects of narcotics, of these fear campaigns that aren't credible. But fentanyl seems like one drug about which it is absolutely impossible to overstate the danger. I mean, do you think that's right?
I think that's true, and part of why it's true is that it is a cash product for transnational criminal organizations based in Mexico. We shouldn't think of the Sinaloa cartel as like a drug gang. You know, you have to think of them as a multinational corporation that is engaged in black market drug sales. They bring in precursor chemicals from China. They make the fentanyl pills themselves in pill factories in northern Mexico, and they ship it en masse across the border. And they're making a lot of money doing it. And so, you know, this is a cash flow issue for them. And they are going to keep doing it and keep producing as much of this stuff as they possibly can, as long as we let them, as long as the border policies are what they are, they're not going to stop.
Well, that's exactly right. We need to update our assumptions about the world. It's not 1955. We're not letting in dozens of cheerful grape pickers to go to the Central Valley and help our ag sector. Mexico is a narco state in the middle of a narco war, and we're getting the effects of that in the form of tens of thousands of dead Americans. John Daniel Davidson, thank you for reporting this so faithfully for so long.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. So our leaders aren't simply flooding the country with deadly opioids in the name of equity. Now, to save the climate, they are destroying the environment. And they're doing it in places where people are too poor to fight back. Politicians using your tax dollars to finance gigantic 600-foot wind turbines that wreck the natural environment, kill endangered animals, destabilize the power grid, and make life miserable for people who live around them, but nobody cares because it's not happening in Nantucket or Aspen. So we spent almost a year looking at this for a brand new episode of our long-form documentary series, Tucker Carlson Originals. It's a scam, and we try to explain how. Here's part of it.
We're never going to see a 600-foot wind turbine or solar panel in Central Park or in the Hamptons. Where we're going to see it is in poor rural communities across New York State and across the country because they don't really have a say.
It is a new day under the Biden administration.
Think of us as David and the state and developers as Goliath.
Climate crisis, my friends, is the test of our times.
Don't build a monstrosity in my backyard. Don't do it here.
Our commitment to what I call clean energy patriotism.
Why are you destroying the environment to save the environment?
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
The people who are enacting these policies, they don't have to worry about a wind farm coming to their neighborhood.
It just drives you insane.
The episode is called Blown Away, The People versus Wind Power. It's out tomorrow on FoxNation.com. We highly recommend it. So you may recall this situation from the show Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Now, given the current climate, I would like to ask you a series of questions to determine how comfortable you are with physical contact as it progresses. How would you feel about a little grazing of the lips?
I think I would feel very good about that.
Well, then a grazing you shall have. I would like to graze again, but this time with some intertwining of the tongue.
We could do that.
Excellent.
Well, that's too awkward to be real. That's why it's a comedy. Oh, but in 2021, parody becomes reality almost every time. It's happening in Pennsylvania, thanks to the governor there, and we have the details next.
Tucker Carlson Originals. Go inside the real stories behind gang violence, lawlessness in our cities, and so much more. In an all-new episode, Tucker takes you across the country to uncover the real cost of wind power.
They spent tens of billions in tax dollars.
What they're not paying for, though, is the reliability of the grid.
The question is, what happens when the turbines stop spinning?
Blown Away. People versus Wind Power. Coming October 21st, exclusively on Fox Nation.
In my career at the FBI, I've worked over 5,000 different cases. This is the origin of a killer next door.
He was an evil individual.
His crimes were some of the most grisly I had ever seen.
Gary Heidnik is perhaps one of the most interesting and scary serial killers that this nation has ever known.
I don't take the case lightly because I'm the one that's accused of killing 33 young men and boys.
He killed 6 young people and wounded 7 others.
They referred to the shooter as the .44 caliber killer.
How could someone commit such a horrific crime against others?
Want to increase your home value? Find out what it's worth first.
Just go to Ownerly.com, enter the address, and see the home value instantly. Come to Ownerly.com and see what your home is worth.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea, at one of the best restaurants in the world.
It's built for a home cook like me, but fit for Alinea like him.
When you're active, don't let a leg cramp stop your day. With Highlands leg cramps, that's pain you can crush right away. America's #1 leg cramp relief solution for over 10 years. Fast, effective relief, so you don't have to miss a beat. Highlands leg cramps. Stop your cramp, not your day. Available at Walmart, Walgreens, and CVS.
At America's Best, you can get 2 pairs of glasses and a free eye exam starting at just $69.95. 2 pairs, and they don't even have to be identical. In fact, 1 pair can be practical and sturdy, while the other pair is super stylish and wildly good-looking. Not that it's a contest or anything. 2 pairs and a free quality eye exam starting at just $69.95. The exam alone is worth at least $50. Book yours today at americasbest.com. The silent type, I see.
Hearing is important to living life to the fullest. That's why inside every Miracle Ear store, you'll find a better life. It all starts with the most innovative technology, like the new Miracle Ear Mini, available exclusively at Miracle Ear. So small that no one will see it, but you'll notice the difference. And now, Miracle Ear is offering a 30-day risk-free trial. You can experience better hearing with no obligation. Call 1-800-MIRACLE right now and experience a better life.
May the Lord have mercy on your soul.
You're not scaring me.
You really are full of surprises.
You just better prepare yourself.
Reporting on the issues you care about.
There's a lot to cover, a lot of headlines.
Lots of news to talk about.
Watch America's Newsroom, weekdays at 9 on Fox News Channel.
Do we have any more paper towels?
Yep. Check the pantry. I just ordered from Boxed.
What's Boxed?
Boxed is the only wholesale club that lets you tap into the value of buying in bulk online.
Is that right?
But unlike other wholesale clubs and online stores, Boxed has no membership fees. Delivery is super fast. And look, free samples. Now we don't have to worry about running out.
Can we order cookies next time?
Save 10% and get free shipping on your first order at Box.com. The better way to shop bulk.
I got this mountain bike for only $11.
DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site. An iPad worth $505 was sold for less than $24, a PlayStation 4 for less than $16, and a Schultz 4K television for less than $2.
I won these Bluetooth headphones for $20.
I got these 3 suitcases for less than $40.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
Really, from the moment COVID-19 left the lab in Wuhan, wafted skyward, politicians in this country have been busy awarding themselves extraordinary new powers. Now, we've chronicled the growing egomania of our political class pretty extensively on this show over the past year and a half. At various times, we've described these people as authoritarians, even fascists in our hotter moments. But in retrospect, language like that turns out to be inadequate. Those are political terms, so they don't really capture what is essentially a theological phenomenon. Our leaders are doing things that previous civilizations permitted only their gods to do. Now, the Aztecs may have committed cannibalism and human sacrifice on a mass scale, but in their defense, they did it in the name of an all-powerful deity, Shepa Totec. Our leaders don't even bother with the middleman. They have no gods. Our leaders issue edicts in their own name and then expect those edicts to be followed as commandments. The most recent example of this comes from the state of Pennsylvania and its Democratic governor, Tom Wolf. Now, Wolf is a reedy, balding man in his early 70s. If you look at him, you might think he's a retired middle school Spanish teacher or a greeter at Whole Foods. Nothing about Governor Tom Wolf screams, Aztec war god. But beneath the cardigan sweater, that is exactly how Wolf sees himself. On Monday, the governor announced that he is now so powerful that he has the right to determine what his subjects say to one another during sex. The exact words. Tom Wolfe has written dialogue for other people's sex lives. And if they fail to read that dialogue precisely, they are guilty of a felony. It's a pretty amazing demand when you think about it. If you're over 30, you probably recall when liberals used to fret about politicians trying to get into our bedrooms. At the time, it seemed like kind of an overstatement, but not anymore. Tom Wolfe is already in your bedroom. He just barged right in. He's staying right there at the dresser, watching. He plans to supervise every detail. On Twitter, Wolfe explained that he intends to, quote, enact affirmative consent standards for all sexual activity that might take place on college campuses in the state of Pennsylvania. What does that look like? Wolfe asked rhetorically. Quote, we must move from no means no to yes means yes. Without an affirmative yes, it is sexual assault. In other words, read our script or we will charge you with rape. In case there's any doubt about what Wolfe's law requires, the bill specifically notes that silence does not confer the right to, quote, engage in sexual activity. You're not allowed. So going forward, more than 700,000 people in the state of Pennsylvania will be legally required to talk during sex. Yes is the word Governor Wolfe wants to hear. Yes! But to be clear, not yes uttered in some breathy way with your eyes rolled back. No. Governor Wolfe demands to hear yes spoken in a forthright, declarative manner, as in a deposition. So how is the governor ever going to make sure that this actually happens? That's really the question. Laws without enforcement are mere suggestions. But Aztec war gods don't make suggestions. They issue decrees. So in order for Tom Wolfe to verify that kids across Pennsylvania are using Tom Wolfe-approved language as they roll around naked in their dorm rooms at 3 in the morning, Tom Wolfe is going to need to go farther than any governor ever has. He's going to need to see the tapes. In the name of public safety, nubile young college girls from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia are going to have to email their homemade naughty videos directly to Governor Wolfe himself, most likely to his private Proton mail address, just to be certain that this important new law is being followed rigorously. Tom Wolfe's a busy man. He's the governor. When you're in charge of the intimate personal lives of an entire population, you don't have a lot of time left over. But in this case, Governor Wolfe will make the time. Governor Wolfe will watch these videos, every one of them. That's his duty. And in the age of Corona, it's also his right. We should let you know that we invited Governor Wolfe onto the show tonight. We wanted to know which other sexual techniques, positions, or safe words he will be mandating in the coming weeks. His staff informed us that the governor was indisposed at the moment. He was locked in his private study watching something intently on his iPhone. Pretty creepy. We'll let you know if we hear anything from Governor Wolfe. So the State Department just put out a statement celebrating something called International Pronouns Day. What's that, you ask? Well, the State Department's here to tell you. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has promoted a biological man to the rank of a 4-star admiral and then told us all this is a massive victory for women. So are people with a traditional science-based view of biological sex losing the war on whether biological sex actually exists? The person we know who's thought most deeply about this question and risked the most to give her opinions about it in public is Abigail Schreier. She's got a brand new column on this in the Washington Examiner, and we're happy to have her on tonight. Abigail Schreier, thanks so much for coming on. So you think that people who believe in the science of biological sex are losing? Why?
Well, I do. I mean, we've seen in the years since the Gavin Grimm case, this was the case planted essentially by the ACLU, in which a biological girl who had begun medical transition wanted to use the boys' bathroom, and this consumed conservatives for years. There were a flurry of bathroom bills that all failed, and the case was eventually decided in Gavin Grimm's favor. It was a massive loss and a massive distraction because, of course, biological girls pose no threats to boys in the bathroom. But in that time, America lost a series of battles on the gender war, which put activists in the driver's seat.
The reality of biological sex is at the center of human civilization. It's at the center of the joy in most people's lives, I would argue, certainly mine. So if we allow this to be erased, I mean, everything changes forever. You wonder why there hasn't been more organized, sincere, vigorous opposition to these changes.
Well, I believe we're going to see that very soon. I've been in touch since March when I testified against the Equality Act with Senator Tom Cotton's office. And I believe he will sponsor legislation very soon to stop schools from going behind parents' backs and giving their kids new gender identities and new names, and then conspiring to keep this from parents.
It's beyond belief that that's happening. So you think it's reversal? At some point, you think that enough people of all sides and maybe even sexual orientations, people who believe in biology, can win, or are we too far gone?
Well, we need to focus on the right battles to fight, and I believe there are essentially 4. We have to fight gender ideology in the schools. We got to get it out, all this mumbo jumbo out of the schools. We have to fight for girls' sports and women's protective spaces. We have to stop schools from undermining parents and giving kids gender identities that the parents don't know about. And we have to reform pediatric gender medicine. No more teenage girls with mental health problems walking into Planned Parenthood and walking out that day with a course of testosterone. No more lying to the public about the harms of puberty blockers.
Man, I hope you're leading this effort. We already are, and doing such a great job. Abigail Shriver, always happy to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, in really one of the great tragedies of our time, thousands of otherwise law-abiding, decent Americans across this country have lost their jobs because of Joe Biden's vaccine mandates. That includes thousands of law enforcement officers in cities that are already on the brink. What's the effect of that? We've got a report next.
Tucker Carlson Originals. Go inside the real stories behind gang violence, lawlessness in our cities, and so much more. In an all-new episode, Tucker takes you across the country to uncover the real cost of wind power.
They spent tens of billions in tax dollars.
What they're not paying for, though, is the reliability of the grid.
The question is, what happens when the turbines stop spinning?
Blown Away. People versus Wind Power. Coming October 21st, exclusively on Fox Nation. Do you take aspirin? Plain aspirin could be hurting your stomach. New Vazalore is the first liquid-filled aspirin capsule clinically shown to cause fewer ulcers than plain aspirin. Vazalore is designed to help protect, releasing aspirin after it leaves your stomach, where it is absorbed, to give you the benefits of life-saving aspirin to help prevent another heart attack or stroke. Heart protection with your stomach in mind. Try new liquid-filled Vazalore. Aspirin made amazing.
You deserve that feeling. Pure relief. You put in the work, whether you're training for a marathon or just living one. The Power Boost Massager and Power Boost Move from Sharper Image. Here for you. Every move, every step, every stretch you take. It's time to power your potential. Power Boost Massager and Power Boost Move from Sharper Image.
My name is Tom Jones. I'm a professional athlete. I've been a professional athlete my entire life. I hold world titles in explosive sports, and I hold world records in ultra endurance sports. The human body is an amazing machine. I'm always doing something different. We're all made up of billions of cells. I've always been a proponent of hydrating myself at the cellular level, feeding myself at the cellular level, and nutrition at the cellular level. As a professional athlete, fruits and vegetables are critical. Whether you're an athlete at my level or you're just going through your day-to-day life, we all need nutrition. When I started researching into Balance of Nature and how they formulate the product and why, I really resonated with that. And when I started Balance of Nature about a month into it, I was popping a wheelie. I'm not letting age define who I am.
Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code FOX News.
Investors, the best hedge is hard assets with lower risk and higher returns, including steady cash flow. The NRIA Prime Real Estate Fund pays a 10% monthly distribution plus targeted returns to 21%. Our fund diversifies against stock market risk with over $1 billion of new development value in progress. The Fed has plummeted interest rates, so hedge against inflation and stocks dropping. Call for our free investors report, Flow with the Fed. Call 800-800-1414. That's 800-800-1414.
Parents and grandparents, do your kids understand the dangers of socialism and how they can help stop it? Their schools will never teach them, but Mike Huckabee wants to help by sending the Kids Guide to Fighting Socialism free for a limited time. This important gift will help kids learn why socialism is bad for America and how they can help fight back. It's part of a new gift bundle that includes a free magazine and video lesson too. To learn more, just visit kidsfightsocialism.com. That's kidsfightsocialism.com.
Every day, Coventry helps people get cash for their life insurance policies they no longer need.
I'm a anesthesiologist and a pain physician by specialty. I was trying to figure out what I could do with this term life insurance policy. I was sort of stuck because I can't just go out and buy more insurance because of my diagnosis. I called Coventry Direct and everything clicked. There actually were a lot more options than I thought there ever would be.
Coventry helped Michael, like we've helped thousands of people sell all or part of their life insurance policies for cash, even a term policy.
There probably are a lot of people that are in a similar situation who don't know they have an option. I would definitely recommend talking to Coventry about it. Coventry made it very easy. I just couldn't have asked for a better experience.
Don't cancel or let your policy lapse without finding out what it's worth. Visit CoventryDirect.com to find out if your policy qualifies or call 800-284-3886.
Earthquake alert? That's weird. You guys feel anything?
Mine's a tsunami alert.
Mudslide warning.
It's like our greatest hits.
911 is the most epic show on TV.
The whole city has been hacked.
Check it out anytime.
911, what's your emergency?
LTY 226, go around. Pull up, pull up.
Insanity. And I really thought this year was going to be different.
911, Mondays on Fox or anytime on Fox Now or Hulu.
Thursday night football on Fox.
Play together, play as one.
Baker Mayfield and the star-studded Browns
Down he goes.
are ready to bring the show to the dog pound. But Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos,
What a throw, touchdown.
are looking to steal the spotlight.
Still on his feet, he's got it.
Broncos, Browns, Thursday night football on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video.
You could walk into pretty much any government in this country, whether it's the federal government, state government, big city government, and lose half the people who work there and probably not even notice because they're useless. But if you start to lose the people who actually keep the society functioning, then you're in trouble. And that, of course, would be firemen, cops, ambulance drivers, paramedics. If you make them leave, things really fall apart. And that's exactly what the Biden administration has just done. In Seattle, one firefighter just cleared out his locker, ending a 16-year career at the department. He speaks for many. Watch.
I'm very angry, but I'm trying to hold it together for my family, and the bittersweet part is it's ending here, where it started. It's like something's being ripped away that shouldn't be, and it doesn't seem right. I don't have the best words to explain it, but everything in my soul tells me this is wrong.
What did that guy do wrong? The vaccinated spread COVID just like the unvaccinated. There's no difference, actually. Look at the science. That guy did nothing wrong. He hurt nobody. And they're crushing him. And they're crushing a lot of people just like that all around the country, and particularly in Seattle. About 10% of the police department's officers have now been pulled off the street in a city that's already on the brink. So what does that mean if you live there? Well, radio host Jason Rantz does. He joins us tonight to tell us what that does mean. Jason, thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. We're in a point where I think Seattle is officially in uncharted territory, and they're spinning from the actual truth. So yesterday, the chief of police said that they fired 6 officers. I'm told that in the next day or so that Mayor Jenny Durkin is going to claim that the city only lost 1 cop. That's disingenuous at best. As you said, about 10% of the deployable officers were pulled from the streets. They were placed on what the SPD internally calls the HR unavailable list. They're essentially on extended leave, and they're using their accrued time off as the city basically is going to pressure them into getting vaccinated or turning in their paperwork. They're not technically fired, at least not yet. But these are people who are no longer policing. And if you take even 1 officer off the street, it's 1 too many in a city that's already short about 500 officers. We're in the middle of a violent crime surge. But now they're trying to downplay the public safety crisis, one, frankly, that the city caused, And Mayor Durkin and some others are getting creative with the numbers to claim that they're lower than reality. So here's an example. I'm told that an officer who was initially fired then decided to retire in lieu of the termination, so they're just not going to count that as an actual firing. And then you've got the officers who went on extended leave on their own as a result of this mandate, and they're also not being counted. But at the end of the day, we've taken over 100 officers off of the street at the worst possible time.
You should take them all out of the mayor's security detail and the security details of every politician in the city of Seattle. But of course, they're the last ones who are going to be dismissed. Jason Rance, I'm sorry for you that you live there, but I hope it gets better. Thanks a lot for that report.
Appreciate it, Tucker.
James Craig knows a lot about running police departments. He's run several. He's most recently the police chief of the city of Detroit. He's now running for governor of Michigan. He joins us with a reaction to these mandates and the effect they're having in public safety. Chief, thanks so much for coming on. So what effect do you think these are going to have on the public, on people who want to go to the grocery store without being shot, for example?
You know, Tucker, first let me start by saying how much I appreciate you having me on your show, but of course, it's just utterly ridiculous. We're talking about a mayor who wanted to defund the police, so her wish is coming true in Chicago. Right. Exactly. This is, in effect, defunding the police. It's reckless, and she does not speak for people who live in vulnerable communities, whether it's there, Seattle, and let's talk about Seattle, the Summer of Love. That mayor, she wanted to defund the police. They're getting their wish. Yeah. And they don't have any concept of how to reduce violence in their city. It's reckless, it's irresponsible, and folks who are on the left, who are complicit, who say nothing, they're as involved. I'm just going to say it. It's wrong.
Well, I think you're exactly right. If you take all the police away and the murder rate spikes, maybe you stop taking police away. I have to ask you. I mean, you ran the police department. You've dealt with unions. Where are the unions here? I thought the unions were supposed to be strong. I noticed they shake down taxpayers. Why aren't they protecting their own members? Honestly.
Well, it depends on where you're talking. I got to give the Chicago union president a lot of credit. Good. He stepped up. His mayor referred to him as a racist. The mayor and a judge referred to him as being an insurrectionist, and that's wrong. There's something called, collective bargaining. Collective bargaining. Why don't you bring the union and the city to the table, and let's see what we can do to work this out. These men and women want to do the job, but when you do what Lori Lightfoot did, that's not leadership. No. That's not leadership at all, Tucker. And I got to tell you, but this is all by design. It's not by accident. So, and then she pulls out the race card and said, what he's doing is racist. How is this racist? I mean, really, what's racist is the people who live in vulnerable communities who are impacted by these bad decisions or by these reckless mayors who need to just step down and resign. I'm sorry. Exactly. And I got to tell you, Tucker, that's why I'm running for governor. Because I'm not going to sit back and watch this. That's why your viewers can go to chiefjamescraig.com and say, we want change. This is about leadership, leading from the front.
Man, you need change in that state, the great state of Michigan.
Oh, Chief, absolutely. I can go on all night.
Yeah, we have. Chief, great to see you tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Tucker.
Thank you. So of all the awful things that have been happening in college campuses recently, and we could do it all day long every day, but this story really stuck out. It's at the University of Chicago, supposedly serious place, one of their top hard science professors, a PhD in applied math called Dorian Abbott. They tried to crush the guy. Wait till you find out why. Wait till you find out what he's doing in response. He joins us next.
Tucker Carlson Originals. Go inside the real stories behind gang violence, lawlessness in our cities, and so much more. In an all-new episode, Tucker takes you across the country to uncover the real cost of wind power.
They spent tens of billions in tax dollars.
What they're not paying for, though, is the reliability of the grid.
The question is, what happens when the turbines stop spinning?
Blown Away. People versus Wind Power. Coming October 21st, exclusively on Fox Nation.
sight of the break. So before I exercise, I always put on Australian Dream. It really helps with the pain.
Australian Dream is available at your favorite retailer.
This big news Saturday on Fox. Number 6 Michigan's backfield attack of Corman Haskins looked to run wild against Northwestern. All part of Big News Saturday on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Every once in a while, my heart can feel a little off. And even when it doesn't, I like to feel good about my heart health. That's why I have KardioMobile. KardioMobile is the only smart device in the world that is FDA cleared to detect the 3 most common heart conditions in just 30 seconds. And having one in your pocket not only gives you peace of mind, the doctor will thank you now.
KardioMobile is proven to detect atrial fibrillation, one of the leading causes of stroke. It also detects bradycardia, tachycardia, and tells you when your heart rhythm is normal. And it's available now for only $79.
You can use KardioMobile anywhere. It lets you put your health in your own hands. I didn't think anyone could be happier about that kind of independence than me, but my doctor is over the moon. Thank you.
Feel good about your heart health with KardioMobile. Order yours today for just $79 at KardioMobile.com or Amazon. That's just $79 for a limited time.
This our season right here, man. This everything for us. Wednesdays, the world's first Avatar singing competition series is a musical spectacle.
It's mind-blowing technology.
Singers perform backstage while their alter egos battle it out center stage.
I didn't like it. I loved it. And I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Alter Ego. All new Wednesdays are watched anytime on these platforms.
When you can't watch, listen. News, business, and news headlines on SiriusXM. Anytime, anywhere. Fox News Audio on SiriusXM. America is listening.
The Fox News app, it has it all. Breaking news, alerts, opinion, and all your favorite shows available anytime. The Fox News app. Download it today.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful. So we set out to create a better home selling experience with a network of the most successful real estate agents in America that'll sell your home for as little as a 2% commission.
The icing on the cake with the Ideal Agent was that we saved $12,000 in commission.
We would definitely use Ideal Agent again. The whole process was so positive for us.
Excellent service.
Getting right to the point, hiring Ideal Agent, I wish we would have done that sooner, and we would have saved 6 months of time and mortgage payments that would have probably never happened if we would have just gone with them first.
They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them.
We certainly recommend Ideal Agent now to all of our family, all of our friends. It's just a great experience.
We are not a discount brokers. These are top local agents that'll get you the best results. I got this mountain bike for only $11.
DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site. We've sold an iPad worth $505 for less than $24, a stand mixer for less than $20, a 4K television for under $2, a MacBook Pro for under $16, as well as a PlayStation 4 for under $16, and brand new cars for less than $900. DealDash.com offers hundreds of auctions every day. All auctions start at $0 and everything must go. And don't forget, we offer a full 90-day money-back guarantee on your first bid pack purchase.
Also, big breaking news
I
out
want
of
these Bluetooth headphones
Virginia,
for $20.
a monmouth poll now
these
showing the
suitcases
gubernatorial
for
race
$40.
between
And
Glenn
shipping is always
Youngkin
free.
and Terry McAuliffe
Go to
is now dead
DealDash.com
even,
today and see how much you can
46.
save.
Terry, he's feeling the pressure, storming out of an interview with a local reporter 10 minutes earlier, saying you need to ask better questions. Take a look. Dorian
healthcare,
Abbott is one of the
COVID,
leading
education,
earth
job
scientists
creation.
in the world.
All right, we're over. That's it. Hey, I gave you extra time. Come on, man. You should have asked better questions.
Recently, he was chosen to deliver an eminent scientific lecture
your viewers care about.
What we did. Say.
You should have asked better questions. Oh, okay. Now Democrats, they're pulling out all those stops. They're trying to save McAuliffe, including bringing in Kamala Harris. Not sure how much good that does. Who is under fire herself for a video urging churchgoers to get out and vote, which it appears may have actually violated IRS rules. Of course, if you're a Democrat, you get a pass. If you're a Republican, you get 10 years in jail. And as Glenn Youngkin put it, Terry McAuliffe is clearly losing it, totally unraveling. And don't forget, McAuliffe has made it very clear he does not want parents involved in their kids' education and wants to set the stage for more far-left indoctrination. Don't take my word for it. Listen to Terry himself.
To me, this sort of science.
I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. You know, I get really tired of everybody running down teachers.
5 to 10 years, everything has
dead
been
even race, and it's all coming down to turnout and who gets their voters to the polls November the 2nd. Can Deep Blue Virginia, Deep Blue state, really turn red? Here to make that case, he's now tied tonight, Republican Virginia.
So when I was
gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin is with us. Obviously, this is a real race now. Obviously, he's nervous.
We would hear
you have distinguished yourself. You believe teachers, actually parents should have input in their kids' school. I would tend to agree with you. You said you'd eliminate CRT on day one. What are the major differences in your campaign?
Was, I guess,
well, Sean, thank you for having me tonight. And the reason why Terry McAuliffe doesn't want to talk to that reporter anymore is because the reporter was asking him questions about schools and crime.
But we never thought that it would come
and Terry doesn't think that voters want to hear about schools and crime. Well, last night we had an event in Fairfax County. We had 1,000 people show up. 1,000 people know the difference between what I'm going to do for Virginians is get our schools reestablished with standards of excellence where parents have a fundamental right to be engaged in their children's education. Terry McAuliffe wants government between parents and their children. I'm going to cut taxes, and Terry McAuliffe wants to raise taxes.
What are the other?
I'm standing strong for law enforcement. Terry McAuliffe is running around with politicians who want to defund police and close prisons. And oh, by the way, I'm going to get our job machine cranked back up. And when Terry McAuliffe was governor, 40% of his economic projects failed to create a single job. On the ballot right now in November is the future of Virginia. And Sean, it's the future of America because Virginia gets to stand up and vote over the course of the next 13 days and make a statement for a state that, a state that's been blue, that's getting ready to elect a Republican governor and charge forward with a new day in Virginia.
The county of Loudoun County has become a central point in this campaign.
You could call
serious
them the
allegation
or the social
of a rape in a bathroom of
and
a young woman. Confirmed investigation. Again, nothing's proven yet. But a confirmed investigation by law enforcement. But then the student was apparently transferred to another school. Now there's another allegation of another assault. And my question is, pending the results of that investigation, why was that student still allowed in any school, and how did the superintendent say that he knew nothing about it when the police knew all about it?
But it can also be a cause for hope, because it means that
this is something that I called for last night, an investigation of the Loudoun County School Board. The FBI should leave Virginia's parents alone and focus on what's happening in Loudoun County schools.
So what are the ways
we absolutely had a perpetrator, an offender who was being investigated and prosecuted for sexual assault, and they tried to hide him in another school.
It's mostly coming
he did it again.
This diversity,
the school board,
and inclusion.
And oh, by the way, the school administrators are guilty of gross negligence, and they should be held accountable. People should be fired. People should lose their jobs or resign, and that's why I called for a full investigation. And oh, by the way, if Virginia's current Attorney General, Mark Herring, who's out campaigning a divisive campaign, isn't willing to do it, just wait until January 15th when we show up and Jason Miyares, who will be our next Attorney General, and I, and Winsome Sears, we're going to have a full investigation. We're going to find out what happened. Virginia parents deserve this. Our schools aren't safe. Our schools are teaching our kids what to think as opposed to how to think. We're going to go to work on day one and reestablish excellence in schools, but on top of that, safety.
Weirdly charming.
We appreciate you being with us, Glenn Youngkin.
Really worth watching.
You win this race. It will be a political earthquake that will be heard all around the country, and you're dead even. We wish you luck. We're going to follow this very closely.
One of the most underreported stories over the last year is that there's been a dramatic spike in deaths that have nothing to do with the coronavirus, not just in the U.S., but in Europe, too. So dramatic that it begs the question, why is this happening? No one seems to be asking except Alex Berenson. He's followed this closely. He joins us next.
Sebastian Junger said it is one of the most moving things he has ever read. Read James Patterson's ER Nurses.
Looking to refinance your mortgage? The first thing you want to do, find out how much your home is worth.
Just go to Ownerly.com, enter the address, and see the home value instantly. Come to Ownerly.com and see what your home is worth.
At America's Best, you can get 2 pairs of glasses and a free eye exam starting at just $69.95. And they don't even have to be identical. One pair can be practical and sturdy, while the other pair is super stylish and wildly good-looking. If you're on supplemental oxygen, tanks make life hard. Well, now there's a better way to get the oxygen your doctor prescribed without a tank. Now you can create your own oxygen with the Inogen One. It's the one solution for home, away, and travel.
When I was on tanks, I felt imprisoned. Now that I've got my Inogen One, my life is full again. With this little device, I can now go anywhere I want and do the things that I've always loved.
The Inogen One creates all-day oxygen from the air around you. When you have an Inogen One, you can get back to living your life again.
I love this, and I love my Inogen because it lets me see this.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping again. I could work in the garden again. For a year, I was just nothing without it. I'm free again.
Being able to be in my grandchildren's lives, it means the world to me. They're not going to think of me as someone sitting in the house with a tank. They're going to remember me.
I didn't want to be that old sick lady in the mirror. With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I can make my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. It lets me be normal.
Almost 1 million people have decided to get their normal lives back with the Inogen One family of oxygen systems. You should too. You may even be eligible to receive an Inogen One at little or no additional cost. So give us a call and talk to one of our highly trained oxygen specialists. We'll answer any questions you may have and send you your comprehensive guide to respiratory freedom.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
This Inogen really works. You gotta get off the couch and get one.
Wouldn't you rather have this than a tank? Really?
Pick up the phone, call the Inogen company. They're going to take care of you.
Call 800-830-8020. That's 800-830-8020. Or visit Inogen.com.
Our sisterhood is sacred, but few are chosen.
I would be honored to be in this sisterhood.
The premiere of Our Kind of People has arrived, and you can watch anytime.
You are obsessed with getting in with these people.
That woman is a disruptor.
Gotta secure the crown.
Our Kind of People, Tuesdays on Fox, or watch anytime on Fox Now and Hulu.
Sunday on Fox, Chase Young leads the Washington football team against one of the league's best.
Let's go!
Aaron Rodgers and the Pack.
Touchdown, what a throw!
Or Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
What a play!
Take on Derek Carr and the Raiders. Fox is football. It all kicks off Sunday on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Check for the game in your area.
When it comes to movies this Halloween, horror is heaven. This October.
Hello? You're not scaring me.
Streaming's biggest free Halloween movie collection. Now on Tubi. Terror on Tubi. Screaming this October.
Insanity.
The Thriller 911 is back, and you can watch anytime.
I really thought this year was going to be different.
911, Mondays on Fox or anytime on Fox Now or Hulu.
You would think a pan is a pan until Made In came along, and I went, wow, these things are something better.
Those are the pans that we use at Alinea, at one of the best restaurants in the world.
It's built for a home cook like me, but fit for Alinea like him.
Do you now know the person looking at you to be Ted Bundy?
Get out of the car. Stop! You're going to get tased! Down on the ground! Fox Justice. Streaming now. Exclusively on Fox Nation.
Well, here's a kind of shocking story that's received almost no attention and is pretty ominous. Government data from around the world show that so-called all-cause deaths are running well above normal. This is happening in Western Europe, for example. What explains this? What could explain it? These are not deaths from COVID. These are deaths directly. These are deaths from some other things. What are they? Well, Alex Berenson has looked deeply into this. He's an author and a journalist. Of course, he writes on Substack, which you should read. He joins us tonight. Alex, thanks so much for coming on. So can you just describe the outline of this? Because it's a pretty amazing story.
So yeah, I mean, this is complicated, Tucker, and there's several cross currents here, and I know I don't have a lot of time.
Right.
And I really am exploring this and have explored this a couple of times on the Substack, and I'm going to go back into that again. But let me quickly tell you what we know, which is in the big countries in Western Europe, in several of the big countries in Western Europe, notably the UK and Germany, which are the two of the largest by population, deaths are suddenly running higher than normal. And that's been true in the UK for several months. Remember, the UK vaccinated a lot of people early this year. They've had deaths running higher than normal for a couple of months. Germany, the vaccinations happened closer to the spring, and they've had deaths higher than normal in September. We don't know why. In the UK, where there's more data, it looks like there's a lot of cardiovascular deaths that are driving this. We don't know what that means. In the US, there has been an excess in mortality in people under 50 that has gone on for 2 years now, and we have a terrible number of deaths happening in people that age. Some of those deaths are COVID. Some of those deaths appear to be lockdown related, or i.e. Drug overdoses, which we know are running really high. But in the last few months, even as COVID deaths fell in the spring, deaths in that age group remain very high in the U.S. This is, and again, there's a couple possibilities. One possibility is that some COVID deaths are being miscounted, although we count COVID deaths very aggressively. Another possibility is that it's these lockdown/drug overdose deaths, although Europe doesn't have nearly the problem that we do with that. Another possibility, and I hesitate even to say this out loud, Tucker, because I know what the response will be, is that this is cardiac related and it is something to do with the mass vaccination campaigns. But you know, we don't have evidence. We don't have enough evidence to separate what the possibilities are. All we know is that people are dying at unprecedented rates in the U.S. in the 30 to 50 age group, the 20 to 50 age group, and now we're seeing excess mortality in some European countries, and we really should find out why.
Well, that's kind of the point right there. We don't know. You said it 5 times. You're a responsible person. Really, in 20 seconds, is there a highly aggressive, organized effort to figure out why these people are dying?
I would say there's a highly aggressive, organized effort to prevent anybody from talking about this data. You know, I was kicked off Twitter. I was forced onto Substack. Nobody talks about it except you, and I don't know why that is either.
Well, I think it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know what's causing it, but if people are dying, we should know why. And I think that's your premise as well, and I'm grateful.
It's pretty important.
You keep asking.
Yeah. Thanks, Tucker.
Yeah. Do people die? Yeah, it's important. Alex Berenson, thank you very much. So as we told you, a brand new episode of Tucker Carlson Originals drops tomorrow. Blown Away, the People versus